When Half-Life 1 built off of Quake's source code, it inherited its ammo features. In Quake, most of the weapons shared their ammo with another weapon, like nails were used by both the nail gun and the super nail gun. Valve was into the idea, so they kept it around. The pistol and SMG both use 9mm rounds, and the gluon gun and Tau cannon both use uranium ammo. Opposing Force would add a few more weapons that worked like this. The way the system worked in Half-Life 1 was unwieldy, with two different representations of ammo types just casually being used wherever for different purposes. I think they were trying to avoid string comparisons where they could, but it just looks bad. In Half-Life 2, they centralized all the data about ammo into one data structure called ammo types and put the data for each ammo type into a single function formatted into a partially neat table. They also expanded on what things ammo types controlled. They would now govern the weapon's damage type, the visual and sound effects the shot creates, how much damage the shot does when the weapon is in a player's hands, ditto for NPCs, how many rounds of that ammo the player can carry, which for shorthand we'll call the max carry, how much force the shot imparts on what it hits, and possibly some other things that don't matter. Ammo types allowed them to reference all of those properties at once with little effort, which was valuable. Ammo types became a central part of firing a bullet at all, earning a parameter slot in the fire bullets function. Ammo types began to be created for other bullet firing things too, even if the player would never hold them. These were things like sniper rounds, the airboat gun, and striders. Although the original idea of weapons sharing ammo pools was still perfectly doable in Source, Valve never used ammo types for that again, aside from a single case in TF2. Each weapon in each game would always have its own ammo type, or when they did share, the most important properties of ammo types would be ignored in favor of properties set in weapon script files on a per weapon basis. Here's how the Strider minigun ammo type looked in the earliest version of the SDK from 2004. We can see that Striders are hard-coded to do 5 damage. 5 is also how much damage the shot would do if it came from a player, and a player can only carry 15 Strider rounds at a time, but neither of those things actually matter. But there was a bug in the code for finding how much damage an ammo type should do when the attacker is an NPC. The code for getting the values for the player damage, the NPC damage, and the max carry value is more complicated than you might think. On the line for the Strider minigun, the values are simply put straight in, but let's look at something else, say the lines for the AR2 ammo. Instead of putting in numbers, they put in strings, specifically ones that are the names of console variables. This add ammo type function is what's called an overloaded function, which means there are multiple versions of it with the same name, and the only way to tell them apart is by the number and types of the parameters. In the version that uses numbers for the 3 settings, the numbers are simply read straight in. In the version where these settings are strings, the game looks for a console variable with a matching name and stores a pointer to the console variable. The game doesn't want to immediately set the actual variable for the value to the value in the console variable, because then it won't update immediately upon changing the console variable in the console. It would require restarting the game. So instead, it sets the actual variable to -1. Now let's go back to the code for getting the values for the player damage, NPC damage, and max carry. The code checks to see if the value is -1. If it's not -1, then it simply uses the value that's in the variable. If it is -1, then it checks the pointer to the console variable and uses its value. The 3 settings in questions all do this exact same process, but they had copied the code for the max carry value and forgot to change one of the references for a max carry value to one for NPC damage. So if an ammo type had a hard-coded value, it would actually end up using the max carry value as the NPC damage, so instead of doing 5 damage, Striders did 15. This only affected the Strider minigun ammo type because it was the only ammo type with hard-coded values that was actually used for something. You're probably thinking, shouldn't they have noticed the Striders were doing 3 times the normal damage? But you'll see the answer to that question is not quite so simple. This bug was fixed in Episode 1. At the time, changes made to Episode 1 weren't being ported back to Half-Life 2 like they are now, so the Striders in Half-Life 2 remained very strong. For Episode 2, the changes from it and Episode 1 were to be ported back to base HL2, and that's the story behind this gargantuan comment block added at the time. When we shipped Half-Life 2 in 2004, we were unaware of a bug in C-Ammo-Def NPC damage, which was returning the max carry field of an ammo type as the amount of damage that should be done to an NPC by that type of ammo. Wrong! It's the amount of damage that an NPC will do when it's the source of that shot. Getting this wrong is really silly considering that one of the extra settings of an ammo type that I glossed over earlier is a flag that makes the damage values work how this comment is describing it. The only ammo type that uses that flag is the helicopter gun. Thankfully, the bug only affected ammo types that do not use convars to specify their parameters. As you can see, all of the important ammo types use convars, so the effect of the bug was limited. The Strider minigun was affected though. According to my Perforce archaeology, we intended to ship the Strider minigun ammo type to do 15 points of damage per shot, and we did. To achieve this, we, unaware of the bug, set the Strider minigun ammo type to have a max carry of 15, since our observation was that the number that was there before, 8, was indeed the amount of damage being done to NPCs at the time, so we changed the field that was incorrectly being used as the NPC damage field. The bug was fixed. Now as we go to ship Orange Box, we discover that the Striders in Half-Life 2 are hugely ineffective against citizens, causing big problems in maps 12 and 13. So again, it doesn't have anything to do with NPCs in particular. The Striders wouldn't have been ineffective against citizens specifically, they would have been ineffective against everything. In order to restore balance to HL2 without upsetting the delicate balance of EP2 Outland 12, I have chosen to build episodic binaries with 5 as the Strider NPC damage, since that's the value that has been in place for all of Episode 2's development. Half-Life 2 will build with 15 as the Strider NPC damage, which is how HL2 shipped originally, only this time the 15 is located in the correct field now that the ammo def code is behaving correctly. And that's what they did, which was not the correct way to fix the problem. I mean, come on, you should obviously be making console variables at that point. Then you would be able to have one value for the damage in HL2 skill.cfg and a different value for the files in the episodes. Oh look, they actually put the same essay in the skill files. Huh. Wait, what? Genuinely, I didn't expect to see this. These variables are not present in the SDK. They are current HL2 exclusive, but they do work. Well, I mean, the 2-player variable does nothing because the player damage value never did anything because once again, that's not how these variables work. Well, Valve, at least you got it right eventually. Right enough, at least. Maybe in another 20 years you'll update the single-player SDK.